Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will look at simple interest. So interest is money that you either earn if you invest or you owe if you borrow. It's additional money on top of the principal, which is what you start with. So simple interest is linear. If you invest, let's say an initial amount, I'll just call that K. Then what happens is you start with this amount and the amount you have goes up by the same amount each year. So here on this scale, this would be the amount of money you have and this would be time, like years, months, whatever. So simple interest is an example of linear growth where you have an amount that grows by the same amount each time period, each year, month, whatever. So to calculate the amount of interest, we can use this formula I equals PRT over 100. I means interest, P means principal, i.e. the amount you start with, R is the rate as a percent, and T is the time. Now R and T here must be in the same units. R is usually given as per year, so T then has to be in years. So let's look at an example. How much interest would I earn in 4 years if I invest $3,000 at 5% per annum? Well, here R is per annum, which means per year, so it's in the same units as T. So we can simply use the formula above. It says interest equals principal, which is what you started with, times rate times time over 100. So if you put that in your calculator, what you get is just $600. So what that means is after the 4 years, you'd have $3,600 because what's happening is 5% of 3,000 is $150. So what this means is, in this case, you would start with $3,000 and each year the amount you have is going up by 150. So after 1 year you'd have $3,150 and after 2 years you'd have 3,300 and so on. After 4 years you'd have 3,600 in total. All right, let's look now at an example where we're borrowing money. So let's say I borrow $20,000 from my parents, agree to pay interest as 2.5% per annum over 18 months, calculate my monthly repayment. So whether you're investing or borrowing, our calculation is the same. We're going to use I equals PRT over 100. We first need to calculate how much interest I need to repay. So the amount of interest I need to repay is principal, $20,000, times the rate as a percent, which is 2.5, now times T. Now here's the problem. This is per annum or per year. This is months. So I need to change 18 months to years. So hopefully you know that 18 months is 1.5 years. You can just divide by 12. So in the formula, I don't substitute T for 18. I need to substitute it for 1.5, so it's in the same units as R. And then for this formula, it's always divide by 100. So if you put that in your calculator, you get $750. Now, sometimes people make a mistake here. They think, okay, cool, then the repayment will just be $750 divide 18. But that's not how it works. It would be great if you took out a loan and you only had to repay the interest, but you don't. The total amount you have to repay is the principal, $20,000, plus the interest. So in this case, I would actually have to pay $20,750. So my monthly repayment, which I'll just call P for payment, it will be the total amount I have to pay back divided by the number of months. And so putting that on our calculator, dollar, it's about $1,153 per month. All right, let's now look at an example where we find P, R, or T. So in this question, we're asked at a bank, how long will it take my investment to double if interest is 1.6% per annum? So we know that interest is principal times rate times time over 100. Now in this case, we are being asked to find T because how long means T. It means how many years or months or whatever. So when you're asked to find P, R, or T, just substitute in everything you know into the formula and then rearrange for what you don't know. So for example, in this case, we know that R is 1.6. So I'm going to replace R with 1.6. Now, you might be a bit confused there, thinking, well, hang on a minute, we need to know I and P if we want to find T. But we have all we need to know. We want the investment to double. So if we want the investment to double, what that means is that I equals P. See, if you invest $5,000 and you want your investment to double, you need to earn another $5,000 in interest. So you have $10,000. If you invest $20,000 and you want your investment to double, you want to have $40,000, so you need $20,000 in interest. Investment double means that I equals P. So what I can do here is I can rub out I and replace it with P. So when I get to this stage, I can actually divide each side by P. You can do whatever you want to one side as long as you do that to the other, because times P divide P cancel out. I'm just left with 1 equals 1.6T over 100. Now, timesing each side by 100 gives us 100 equals 1.6T. It turns out, if you want the investment to double, it doesn't matter how much money you start with. Every time you want an investment to double with simple interest, rate times time has to equal 100, because the interest has to be 100% of the principal, or principal has to be 100% of the interest, whichever way you look at it. So now I can just divide each side by 1.6. I get 62.5 equals T. Now, because 1.6, the rate was per annum or per year, T will be in years. So at 1.6% per annum, it will take 62.5 years for the investment to double in value, and that is true regardless of how much the initial investment is, whether it's $1 or $1 million. But whenever you're finding P, R, or T, you use the same formula, just substitute what you know and then rearrange. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.